Ladies and gentlemen, now that you understand how to cut up your video, how to paste it properly, and how to create zoom-ins, it's time to create a preset for it or a pack that contains all of our zoom-ins so that we can just drag them onto our clips whenever we need zoom-ins or zoom-outs. And for that, I want you guys to follow what I'm about to do. So inside of my clip, I've got the same exact clip that we just had in the beginning. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and quickly duplicate it so that we can work on a fresh one. So for this duplicate, I'm going to go ahead and undo the scale keyframes and then just reset it. Okay, so do this for both of these so that we don't have any zoom ins or anything else. To create a preset, all that you have to do is create an animation and right click and save it as a preset, and it's going to pop up inside of your effects panel. It's literally that simple. So you can basically create like a shape pop-up. I'll show this to you guys real quick. So if I add a shape over here and I've got a shape layer like this, and I create a keyframe in the bottom like this, and I go forward and move the keyframe to the top, and I put both these keyframes like this in the middle, and I select both of them and use my velocity to create a spike in the middle. So drag this one down and slide her out, this slider down and slide her out like this to create a spike in the middle, and we get this smooth kind of animation. I'm going to extend them a little bit more, right? Just kind of make it a bit smoother. If I like this, I can basically save this as a preset. Let me show you guys exactly how. To save something as a preset, you unfortunately cannot right click this and save it as a preset. Well, you kind of can, but it's going to apply a bunch of different things like your scale and your rotation, your anchor point. It's much better to do it on your transform effect. And what does this mean? Well, basically, to save something as a preset, you have to right click and click on your preset. However, what we're right clicking on right now is your vector motion. So if you added this to a layer with vector motion in it, it could actually play with other things which are in the layer and mess up some things. So what we do is we add an effect which works the exact same way as this. First of all, we remove all the keyframes from it. We add an effect called transform. So head over to your effects and search up for transform. The transform effect, which you can see over here, allows you to do the same kind of movement. It gives you, this is it, this is the transform effect over here. This is your first effect which you use. The transform effect basically behaves just like a vector motion, but the difference is it's an effect that's added on the clip, which allows us to save it as a preset, which actually behaves as an effect. So if we keyframe the current position, move the keyframe back, and just have it end at the top, sorry, just have it start at the beginning. So just move back to your first keyframe over here, like this, and I just have it start at the beginning, and selected both and clicked on this, and then let's make the cool spike animation like so. Once we are happy with the result and we like what we are seeing, okay, all we have to do is right click the transform effect and click on save preset. What this does is it's going to take the effect and its properties, so whatever animation we've made in the effect, whatever values we've changed. Basically what a preset does is it takes this exact same effect. So if you added an effect and you changed values inside of it, you could save that as a preset. Whatever values, whatever things you change inside the effect, you can save that as a preset, so it applies its own effect. So now I'm just going to call this shape layer move up, and I'm going to change the type to anchor to endpoint. Now what's the difference? When you change the type to scale, when you apply this preset to a different shape layer, it's going to change according to the scale of the shape layer. If I apply it to anchor to endpoint, it's going to change according to the point at which it starts. And if I change this to the anchor to out point, it's going to change according to the point at which it ends. So if I have a clip that's 5 seconds and I save the preset on it, if the zoom in that I added on it was 2 seconds long and I set it to scale, then if I add the preset to a 10-second clip, the zoom in is going to be 4 seconds long because it's going to change according to the scale of the clip. If I change it to the anchor in point, it's going to start at the same point at which the preset starts. And if I change it to the anchor out point, it's going to change according to the anchor out. So I'm going to just set this to anchor in and click on OK. And now if I create my own shape layer over here with a red rectangle, I no longer have to create this. I just have to search up my move up, shape layer move up, and I just have to drag this and add it in. It's going to be under your presets. Don't forget the name which you created. If you want to access them, you just go over to presets and you find it. And I'm going to take my shape layer move up and I'm going to drag it in just like an effect. And all of a sudden, it's going to create a move up animation like so, and I no longer have to do anything about it. So how do you apply this exact same concept to zoom ins? Very simple. Let's go and delete both these shape layers, and let's go ahead and do this for the zoom ins. Well, as we mentioned, the first step is adding in the transform effect. Why? Because we cannot save our motion, which is where we had our animation, as a preset. So we're going to add in the transform effect. We're then going to do the same zoom in. So keyframe the current scale, move forward under the transform. Make sure you don't keyframe the scale of the position. Move it, keyframe everything under the transform. So close off all of these except the transform. Make sure all of them are closed except your transform. Good. So keyframe the scale, move forward, and then have it go to 120. So this is our zoom in. Have the first keyframe start here, second keyframe end here, and then click on your velocity, and then just drop the slider down, have it start with a spike, and just move this thing all the way back. And this is going to start like this. This is a sample. So notice this is the exact same zoom in that we just did earlier. We just replicated it inside of the transform layer. Now we're going to right click our transform layer, click on save preset, and we're going to make sure that we anchor this to the endpoint. Now we can change the name to quick zoom in. Now keep in mind, this is going to save it with the velocity property. So this is not only going to save your transform effect, it's going to save your position, your scale, and everything in it. It's also going to save not just the scale, but also how quickly the scale changes. So it's very important to keep this in mind. We set it to anchor to endpoint because the zoom in has to change dependent on the endpoint. So for that reason, if we set it like this, we click on OK. Now all of a sudden we have a zoom in. If we deleted this effect, we no longer have. This is a sample. Our zoom in. To delete it, by the way, all you have to do is select the effect, right click, and then just click on cut. Or I'll select to select the effect and click on backspace, you'll delete it. Now all I have to do is go up to my presets, and I've got quick zoom in, and I'm just gonna drag this onto my first clip like this. And now all of a sudden, this is a sample video. Now let's say I wanted to apply it to my second clip. I just drag this thing on, and you guys can see it's the exact same zoom in. Sample video is where I speak and I take a few. Now I'm gonna show you guys something real quick. If I took this here, the same exact transform, and I right click and I saved it to scale. Okay, I'm just gonna call this quick zoom in scale. Like this. Check out the difference. So when I apply the zoom in to sample video, like so, we've now got two presets. If I apply it to scale in, sorry, let me just quickly duplicate this clip twice for you guys. So if I apply this with the anchor to endpoint, you guys will notice sample video is where I speak down, right? And notice how long the zoom in is. It's the exact same length as our original one. If I apply it with the scale property, notice how the zoom in now scales across the entire thing. So instead of sample video is where I speak, sample video now has to slow down because our clip is faster. So which one is more useful? Depends on the kind of animation. If you want your animation to be extended over the whole clip, then you have to save it as scale. If you want it to be the exact same length for whenever you add it, you have to save it as anchor in. I know it sounds confusing, but with time, you guys are going to get used to this. So let's go ahead and delete this and do the same thing for our zoom is a sample animation. So we just go in here, add in the transform effect. So let's add this to our third clip now because we want to do our zoom out here. Keyframe the scale at 120, move forward, and then just have it go back to 100 like this. Have it start at 120, end at 100, move this bad boy down, and let's make sure that we start slow and end slow. So we got to move this one back and move our slider back like this, move this one down and move the slider forward like this, and we're going to get a spike in the middle like this, and then we get a small sometimes I might even say important things and like this. And for this one, I'm going to right click, and this one I'm going to save it to scale because I want my spike to alternate based on how long my clip is. And this one I'm just going to call it spike zoom out. Okay, and now if I apply this to this clip over here, you guys can notice this clip doesn't have anything right now. If I add my spike zoom out, all of a sudden we've got a zoom out. Times I'm probably going to say something absolutely useless. There we go, and awesome. There we go, ladies and gentlemen, that is how you save presets. Now, here's a bit of homework that I want you guys to do. I want you to add in your transform effect, and I want you to create all three different kinds of spikes. I want you to create a zoom in with a quick start and slow end. I want you to create a zoom in with a slow start and quick end, and a zoom in with a spike in the middle. Then I want you to create a zoom out with a quick start and slow end, a zoom out with a slow start and a quick end, and a zoom out with a spike in the middle. And if you do this, I want you to save all 6 of these as individual presets. So you're going to have quick zoom in, you're going to have slow zoom in, you're going to have spike zoom in, and you're also going to have quick zoom out, slow zoom out, and spike zoom out. Okay? And with this being said, you guys should be able to get some good presets. I'm going to go ahead and do this with you guys real quick. So I'm not going to take my time with this. I'll make it really quick. I'm going to select this clip and just duplicate it basically 6 times. So here's 1, here's 2, and select both these duplicates, duplicate them again and again. So we now have 6 of them. Now we're just going to add in our transform effect like this. We're going to add in our transform effect. We're going to keyframe our scale at 100, and this is for the zoom in. We're going to change this to 120, and we're going to move these keyframes to the edges of the screen like so. We're going to bring these down like this, and then we're just going to start this one quick and have it slow down like so. Okay, Now we're just going to right click and save this to the anchor in point. I'm going to save them all as scale, and we're just going to call this quick zoom in like this. Okay, so this is our quick zoom in. We're going to go to our next clip, and then we're going to find our quick zoom in. I'm just going to add it in, and then we're just going to slow this down and have it start slow like that. And we're going to right click and save this preset as slow zoom in like this. So now we've got quick zoom in and we've got slow zoom in. And now since our slow zoom in starts slow and ends fast, we're going to add this slow zoom in into here. And we're just going to bring both this one back, and we're going to create a spike like this. And we're going to extend this one, and this one's going to be saved as scale as well. So we're going to right click this one, and we're going to call it spike zoom in. Now all that you have to do is go to your clips here. So now we've got slow zoom in, quick zoom in, slow zoom in, spike zoom in. Then we have to go to these clips here. We're going to add quick zoom in to the first one. We're going to add slow zoom in to the second one, and spike zoom in to the last one. And we're just going to change the first value to 120. So it starts big, and then we're going to change the last value to 100, and it's going to do the entire job for us. So this is quick zoom out. And then for our second clip, this is going to be first value 120, second value 100. This is slow zoom out. And then for our last clip, we're going to do the exact same. First value 120, second value 100, like so. And this is going to be spike zoom out. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen, you have created your first 6 presets, which are all zoom presets. So with this being said, guys, we have learned a lot and we have gone through so much. We have learned cuts, pacing, zooms, velocity, and presets. And in the next episode, we're going to be practicing all this by taking our raw footage and redoing all the cuts, redoing all the zoom ins, redoing all of that magical stuff, and creating a very high quality clip. So with this being said, guys, I'll see you in the next course in which we're going to practice it.